All right, well, welcome everyone to our Legacy Peak Monday night call. It is Monday night, May 18th. I really kind of forget what day it is, honestly. I'm sure you do as well. But it is Monday, May 18th, and we welcome you to this special call tonight with my very, very good friend, Sharon Fitelson. And I'm going to read her quick bio, but then I'm going to tell you a few things that I really like about Sharon. But I want you to get a sense of who she is. Hold on, I'm going to go ahead and unmute. Sharon, you're going to have to unmute yourself when we get started. Okay. Okay, so anyway, Sharon, I just want you to know who she is and her background. So I'm going to read her bio real quick to you so you can get a sense of how you want to listen to Sharon. She's a chiropractic physician, having graduated magna cum laude in 1980 from Logan College of Chiropractic. She's a diplomat status in acupuncture from the NCCAOM, the National Council of Chinese Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine, as well as the Chiropractic Acupuncture Association. Dr. Fitelson is board certified in chiropractic orthopedics. She has been an adjunct faculty member of Logan College of Chiropractic, where she teaches other doctors to be successful. That's pretty cool. 39 years practicing holistic medicine in St. Louis, Missouri, the founder of In Motion Health Center, a large multidisciplinary holistic center with chiropractors, acupuncturists, massage therapists, athletic trainers, and nutritionists. Dr. Fitelson is a sought-after speaker, lecturing widely on health topics across the U.S. And tonight, we have the pleasure of her sharing the topic of stress. What is eating you, and what are you eating? So, my friend, there are, 1 second, I'm going to hand it over to you, but there are a few things that you need to know about why I like Sharon so much. First of all, she's very likable. She's funny, she's kind, and she's very compassionate. And I admire her for her love of learning and her love of teaching in her profession. And I really love her because she helped me through one of the most difficult times in my life, and that was menopause. And Sharon, I don't know if you remember me coming in, having a breakdown across the desk from you, but I am forever grateful that you helped me through that, my friend. So without further ado, take it away. Oh, can you unmute yourself?
So now I'm unmuted. Okay. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. And now I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully this will work great. Okay. Okay. And now I'm going to this. Okay. So guys, I just have a guest who can't figure out how to get in. Oh, well, what are you going to do? What I want to say, here's what I want to say is,
Sharon, if you want, we can send her the recording, or maybe she doesn't have the passcode real quick.
Well, she's got the flyer, but now she says she doesn't have the flyer. So I don't know what's wrong with her, but I'll just resend right now just because she's trying so hard. And yep. I think she's intentional. You know how that is with this,
well, of course.
With this stuff. Okay, there's my best shot. Okay, I did it. All right, guys. So I think stress is a really good topic. I've done it long before these days, but nevertheless, I think you can listen. What I want you to do, and in keeping with my desire to educate, is I want you to listen through your health. Like, how is your health? What are you doing? And just know that no matter what I say, you can be better or you can even be worse. Your body just responds. So what we do, we make a huge difference. So that being said, listen through your own health and or your family's health, because they're extremely important to you as well. So stress, I know we all have some of it. it's like we can be on different parts of this continuum. We can be not stressed enough, like bored, like just retired without a plan A or B, or even now with the times of being quarantined, maybe just not enough is going on. We can be stressed, which means normally stressed. And we're always going to have some variation on the theme of stress. Okay, stress is essentially a demand on your body, and then your body responds. So that's what the definition of stress is. Distress is when we have a bad day, maybe a bad week, but we can handle it. We talk to the right people, we get advice, we do whatever we know we should do, and it gets out of the way. And then there's overstress, which is what I think most people are like, whoa, I need to hear this talk. So overstressed means you're not coping well, okay? And all the things you've tried they're just not working. And so, our body responds to stress in so many different ways. But what I would say is that physiologically, it's all the same hormonally, meaning cortisol is in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I'm going to get into that now. So we have physical effects, emotional effects, and behavioral effects. And I think, we all have some of them. So physical effects, you can see these here. You've all had a little bit of it. But the problem is when it's ongoing, when it keeps returning and you can't find an answer. That's when there's a red flag and your body needs to go, whoa, what can I do about that? And use these issues to get you some help. Then there's emotional effects, okay? So these kind of effects, we all have a little bit, like I said, maybe a little bit more now, but at the same time, there's so much we can do to help ourselves. But if you have someone in your life or you that is continuously negative or always in burnout or very, very sad or depressed, anger, very, very dangerous sometimes, we need to handle it. And you need to be observant and maybe loving and mention it. And then there's behavioral effects. And these are the ones that can really get dangerous. When we abuse alcohol or drugs, we smoke too much, etc. Overeating is so common, the emotional eater, so many of us are. This is where we get into trouble and our hormones go crazy. So if you overeat, it's not necessarily because you're a bad person and you want to eat more. It's because your hormones are driving you towards eating too much. So it's a hormonal issue. Let yourself off the hook, but find some answers. So how are you taking care of you? And I think most of us know about this, that we should eat real food, that we should exercise, drink water, half our body weight or 60 ounces of water, sleep 7 to 8 hours per night. That's when our body restores itself. Exercise creates serotonin and it helps with our mood, and not to mention all the physical effects of moving the blood and using the muscles, and eating real food. So I want you to think about what's in your cabinet right now, what's in the closet, what's in the refrigerator, how much real food are you eating? I'm going to take this towards real food, but you got to know that this is key and crucial. So I'm going to go into physiology now. So here is the adrenal gland, and the adrenal gland is about the size of your thumbnail, and it sits right on your kidney, okay? So you've got two of them, and if you've got two kidneys, you should have two adrenals. And it's it's the stress hormone. It's very, very important. So it is our fuel pump, and it pumps fuel to our thyroid, which is our spark plug. So if the fuel is going to the spark plug, you'll have ignition and you should have some good energy. But if something's off, usually in the adrenal gland first, or maybe the thyroid, you're going to be diseased or diseased. So there's 4 different hormones that are stimulated and secreted by the adrenal gland. There's adrenaline, which is fight or flight. So if you have too much adrenaline going on, and you live off of it, that's very, very dangerous. And you end up using up your biochemicals way faster than you should. So think if you see your child or a grandchild in the street and they don't understand that a car is coming, you yell and it doesn't help. If you run towards that child, the adrenal glands will shunt the blood from the core to your legs or your arms, and you can run faster than you ever could. So that's what adrenaline is. And, you know, we don't want to be living off it on a regular basis, but some of us do, unfortunately, because it depletes our biochemicals. When I say biochemicals, I mean all sorts of things, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. So mineralocorticoids regulate our mineral balance. So if your minerals are off, even if you're taking minerals in or eating good food with minerals, but your adrenals are misdirecting the minerals, then you might get tremors, you could get osteoporosis, you could get all sorts of diseases of the muscle, and the muscles need the minerals. The bones need the minerals. So we've got to make sure our stress is being managed. That's the bottom line. Make sure your stress is being managed. Glucocorticoids, which I'm going to talk a lot more about, glucocorticoids are our cortisol. And glucocorticoids make sure that our brain has enough energy. The brain, it's the whole reason the body is alive, is to keep or functioning. Our innate intelligence keeps our brain working. And that's key and crucial. And that's called cortisol, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. And then corticosteroids are basically part of our body's immune system. So if your corticosteroids are working well, they will, diminish the ability of irritants to bother us. So let's take an irritant as mold. The mold, you know, St. Louis is the mold capital of the Midwest. You know, we're in a swamp here between two rivers. So, so many of my patients would say, oh my God, the mold's 5 million, I'm miserable. And, you know, the truth is, if I'm in St. Louis and the mold isn't bothering me, is it the mold or is it your body? And it's often your body. So if your adrenals and your immune system's working correctly, then guess what? You will negate, you will render them useless. And, dander, mold, everything, pollen, you name it, won't bother you. So that's not always the case, but it is possible. 90% of us live in some form of adrenal fatigue. And I will tell you, that's a normal situation in our current lifestyles. But it's when we get into adrenal exhaustion that you've got problems. Adrenal exhaustion is where you're not only stressed out, but you keep getting sick. And you get sicker and sicker and sicker. And so we don't want that. Nobody wants that. So I'm going to talk about the glucocorticoids, which is cortisol. And this is something that I, as a holistic physician, and many others, can measure. We measure your cortisol with a urinary test or a saliva test, and we can tell how your cortisol is changing. So it's supposed to change. It's not all high or all low. It's supposed to go high to help us wake up in the morning, 8 o'clock, say, and then it slowly goes down as the day goes on, 4 to 6 in the evening, it's going down, and then just before relaxation, before bed, it should be at its lowest if we're treating ourselves right, and then it starts to rise again midnight, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., and 6 a.m. so we can get up. So one of the benefits of cortisol, if it's properly working at the right times, is that you have energy. You can get up out of bed, you can get a good night's sleep, you can get up and feel good. It also helps us to get up from lying down to sitting to standing. So the cortisol helps to make our blood pressure rise so we can get up from lying to sitting to standing. So cortisol does all sorts of things. It's too simplistic to just tell you what I did, but I will get into more. But if it's too high on a regular basis, too high over here, it's going to suppress our thyroid. And our thyroid is our metabolism. So we don't want our metabolism to be suppressed. Also, if it's too high, you will see a lower testosterone, a lower DHEA, which is a form of a growth hormone, and the growth hormone itself. So let it be known that this is a primary disease or disorder that so many of us have these days. So when cortisol is good, it helps us to handle the stress of daily living, and it's an anti-inflammatory. And I want to say something about inflammation. If you are, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, but if you are inflamed, on a regular basis, your immune system is lower. And if you are, you know, in that state of being, you are more, you know, how should I say, you're more vulnerable to any illnesses when you're inflamed. And that's a key to disease. It also helps us, like I said, to rise in the morning and to go to sleep at night. So when cortisol is bad, meaning, you know, off because we're too stressed out, we don't sleep well. Usually we look for fast food and we have a high-paced lifestyle. Our blood sugar increases, so type 2 diabetes is starting. We have an appetite that gets out of control, weight gain, of course, and fatigue, and a decreased sex drive. So a lot of people find themselves hovering in this place right now, wondering what's to become of me. And when it gets really out of control, then your muscle tissue and your bone are actually diminished because the body uses muscle, the protein of the muscle and the calcium of the bone to support our brain. Our joints get destroyed, or just, you know, a little bit of osteoarthritis because there's a lot of protein in the joints and our body needs those proteins. Our immune system does break down and our brain shrinks. Now, our brain's going to shrink anyways, but we don't want it to happen too quickly. We want it to happen on time later. So cardiovascular effects of cortisol. So if the cortisol is off the charts in the wrong direction, what happens is it damages our blood vessels. So this is the inside of an artery, and it's supposed to be glistening smooth and nice and, you know, regular, if you will. So put your tongue on the inside of your cheek and feel how nice and smooth that feels. That's what our arteries, which is called the endothelial lining, should feel like. If it gets injured by oxidative stress, which I'm going to get into, or cortisol being imbalanced, what happens is the body knows that the artery is injured, and it puts down this yellow material called plaque. And plaque is there to actually plug up the artery and prevent it from tearing. But if there's too much plaque, it can occlude the artery and blood doesn't flow. It can also, the plaque can break off and become a clot. So this is nothing that any of us want. But that's part of the reason that so much stress affects us. It's not just, oh, I've got a lot of stress, therefore I'm going to have a heart attack. The physiology is this. So you need to understand that how you're living your life now has a great effect on later, and we shouldn't take it for granted. So in immune system, the imbalance in the cortisol shrinks the thymus, which is part of our immune system, and inhibits white blood cell production. So if we're not making white blood cells, we don't have the army to fight. They need to communicate with each other, T cells, B cells, foot soldiers, generals. If they can't communicate, they don't know who's who. So it becomes a battle, and sometimes the body starts attacking itself, which is an autoimmune response. So autoimmune means against yourself, and there are so many diseases like that these days, from ulcerative colitis to Sjogren's syndrome to chronic fatigue to rheumatoid arthritis to some cancers. It goes on and on and on. So this is coming from our body's inability to fight correctly. Also, cortisol, if imbalanced, can promote synthesis of blood vessels and tumors. So we don't want bigger tumors at all. Cortisol leads to diabetes, and I said this before. It's stress that makes us fat. So stress makes us want to eat, and it has us choose the wrong food. What happens when we eat crappy food is it decreases our sensitivity to insulin, and insulin cannot bring the good nutrients across the cell wall. When that happens, we get fat, and the fat usually is stored in the abdomen. So if you have fat in your abdomen, that's the worst place for your fat. Some fat is good. We have it to pad our arteries. We have it to insulate our cell walls. We have it to make hormones. So fat is good, but if fat in the wrong place and the wrong kind of fat is not good. Also, like I said before, we break down tendons, ligaments, and joints to make blood sugar to feed our brain. What happens is we lose muscle, we slow our metabolic rate, increases our appetite, and we are set up for type 2 diabetes. Not type 1, but type 2, which is definitely lifestyle related. And I've got an answer for any type 2 diabetic. Just keep listening. Hope you don't get bored. Impact on aging, okay? The older we get, we don't recover as quickly. That is a fact. I used to work on a farm and for 8 to 10 hours a day in the fields, hauling lumber, I'll tell you that some other time. But anyways, now if I work for 4 to 5 hours, I'm a little stiff and I'm in good shape. But what's happening is, I'm not recovering as quickly as I used to. Our brain shrinks where memory is stored. That's because cortisol needs the protein from your brain. Our skin dehydrates and loses tone. So all of that is what we know to expect from aging, but what we want to do is age gracefully. So increased stress causes an acidic pH. So many of us are living in a stressful situation, whether it's your work, whether it's your home life, whether it's money, whether it's fear of getting sick, anything that's ongoing. And what's going to happen is your body's going to steal minerals to buffer the acid, which is known as osteoporosis. There will be increased pain and muscle cramping, which is known as fibromyalgia, and that's the inflammatory component. We will be less tranquil, we'll have anxiety and insomnia. If we, are really in bad shape, there's fluid retention, which comes as a result of ongoing obesity, and it happens to be, attached to edema and congestive heart failure, and increased mucus, which is altered immunity and allergies. So many of us right now have a little bit of some of this, like we don't sleep well, we have aches and pains, we have allergies. Well, all of that is really part of your lifestyle, and that's what I want you to know. It's not a death sentence, it's lifestyle. So the average American eats 70% acid-producing foods. That's a lot, and 30% alkaline producing. So alkaline is fruits and vegetables, and we want to be more alkaline and less acidic. So what did you eat today? Hopefully more of a balance down here than up here, but nevertheless, there will be some balances imbalances on a daily basis, but we want to really try to be more alkaline. So remedies. We know we should exercise. You should do it like 5-6 days a week. You should be cardio, you should be stretching, and you should be doing some kind of strengthening. If the gym is closed, you can do abs and workouts on the floor. You can use bands. You should be having fun and relaxation. I know that tonight is really fun, but aside from that, you should be really looking at how can you unplug? How can you plug in what is fun for you? Sleep 7 to 8 hours a night so your body will restore itself, and a diet with antioxidants, fiber, and good fat. So I'm going to focus a little bit more on diet now because these other remedies you know a lot about, and I think it's really important. So aging is oxidation and oxidation is aging. Oxidative stress is actually free radicals, and free radicals, think of it as a fire that's burning, that's creating ash and smoke. The ash and smoke are the free radicals. And, we have that every day in so many of our cells. We have 60 trillion cells, and we have 10,000 oxidative hits per day per cell. So it's normal. This is life. But what we don't want is too much of it. If you're diseased, if you've had cancer, if you, are a diabetic, if all of these things, you've probably had too much oxidative stress in your life, and your body has not known how to take care of it. So it's linked to poor health. So here we have a woman. Well, let's look at the apple first. So there's been lemon juice poured on this side of the apple. Lemon juice is an antioxidant. So it looks perfect, but on this side in the air, it is turned brown. Same thing with our skin, okay? Or her skin in this case. She might have been a smoker. She didn't use sunscreen, a lot of stress, maybe drank too much, etc. And this side of her face looks terrible. But this side she did a pretty good job on. So anyways, I just want you to know that anything is possible. And we want to use antioxidants to help defend us. And that's what's so important. So fruits and vegetables, once again, alkaline, they create all sorts of good synergy. Antioxidants, like I mentioned, enzymes, which are good for digestion and immunity, soluble and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber keeps our arteries clear. Insoluble fiber helps to open up our bowels. Minerals, which is good for bones, etc. And other phytochemicals, that there are so many of them that they're sometimes not even known what they are. 12,500 antioxidants. I'm going to go into a few of them just to explain their value. But here we go once again. So many people, especially in the the 90s, the 80s, were starting to take multivitamins because they knew it was full of antioxidants. Well, the truth is, here, this apple, if you look at your label of your multivitamin, if you have one, see how many antioxidants are in there, maybe 10, 15, 20, 25 if it's powerful. But in the apple, there are almost 12,500. So maybe another 20 pages here of those names that we don't even know what they are sometimes for the apple. So if you're going to eat an apple, you're going to get so much more power, so much more powerful. So here we've seen this over and over. Superfoods that fight disease, okay? If you eat this way, you can help, not totally prevent, but help to fight any of those disorders or diseases. So, I'm going to tell my story here. It was about 23 years ago when someone shared Juice Plus with me. And at that time, I was a very, very busy doctor. I just started a huge clinic with 9 massage therapists, and I had a whole gym, 3 different doctors, and I was overextended in every way. I was perimenopausal, which made everything worse, and I was getting sick. I had foggy thinking, couldn't think, and I was just worried sick, and even eating McDonald's. So a few people shared Juice Plus with me, and I said, oh, I'm taking my vitamins. I'm a chiropractor. I know what vitamins are, and I sell them. Anyways, one of them said, your vitamins aren't working. And I said, okay. So I got on Juice Plus. I said, order me some. And I tell you, I don't promise anybody this, but within a few weeks, my foggy thinking, which was part of my perimenopause, cleared up in a way that I couldn't believe. I had so much more energy, and nothing had changed from before as having started. I had the same problems. So I thought, wow, maybe this is doing something good for me. And so, over time, I have been on it for those 23 years. I've never looked back. And I would assert that, I am younger now than I was at age 50. I'm aging gracefully. And for that, I will be forever, forever thankful. And so I share it. And I found it, ethically imperative for me to share with family, friends, and some patients. And so that's why I'm here. That's one of the things that has me be so passionate. It's what a difference we are making with just fruits and vegetables in a capsule. So here you have it, okay? 30 different fruits and vegetables in these 3. And this is called the trio. And they also come in gummy form. So if I hear people say, oh, I can't swallow capsules. Okay, get them in the gummies. But how much of this do you eat? We don't eat all of it, that's for sure. And sometimes, I'll eat 5 or 6 in a day, and they're usually the same, especially staying home now, they're the same. So just look and see if this isn't something, the variety almost as important as the servings. So we're supposed to eat half our plate in a day. How many servings did you have today? A serving's a fistful, and we should have at least 7 to 13. So environmental toxins are increasing, and we all know this. So this is like bombarding us. We are always in, at the effect of the environment. Food quality is decreasing. It's really hard. You should shop around the outside of the perimeter and not so much in the inside. Of course, you got to get your toilet paper. But, you really want to be around the outside. And so Juice Plus bridges the gap between what you eat and what you should eat. It's not in lieu of eating well, but it bridges the gap. And that's why I find it smart and also easy. I put my capsules in my smoothie, and it's an easy way to get all 6 of them at once. So it's not a 1-week health strategy. Your body's going to respond however it does. Nutrients don't have a rapid effect, no quick fix, but drugs do. Drugs will do something right away, but nutrients won't. Blood cell lasts 120 days, and in 3 to 4 months, you've got all new blood supply. And when you start feeding your body better, your body will do what it needs with that food. So it will take time, but you should be healthier and hopefully feel better. So here are just some of the benefits of, food is medicine and medicine is food, or can be food. And so just look at this. I mean, who wouldn't want to have immune booster, arthritis protection, reduce cholesterol, digestion be better, and fruit? And here's just some of the vegetables that happen to be in. This isn't all of them, but these are in the Juice Plus, and they were picked specifically because of their curative and their healing powers and how they work together. And then here are berries. Berries are the best, I promise you. Everything purple is great. So dilating blood vessels, increasing memory, cataracts, strengthening capillaries. This is the kind of stuff we need in our body. So Juice Plus is unique because when you take and you put the 30 different nutrients from this, and there's yet another 15 from the Complete, which is a meal replacement, you are going to get 45 whole foods in any given day. And the part that really has me so excited is the clinical studies, because I am a physician, and most physicians want that as a backup. We need to know that we've got that behind us. They created the omegas most recently, and they found a way to keep the fish and the ocean out of the omegas. So now you get 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9 in it's a blend as opposed to just omega-3. And all of these here that you can see are grown, in nature, without herbicides, without pesticides, and they're cold pressed. And so they do not become rancid. Here's the studies. I'm not going into them, I promise you, but you're known by the company you keep. So Yale University, Vanderbilt University, MD Anderson, University of Texas. These are the places that, this is just gold standard research. And the company does donate some money towards it, makes the placebo as well as gives the capsules. But once they agree on the parameters, the research is out of the company's hands. And it has been published over and over. So I'm not going to get into this, but I want you to know that research has been done on all of these areas. And if you could have reduced inflammation, you wouldn't be sick as much. If you would have DNA repair, then you wouldn't get as many cancers, and genetic change is at your fingertips, literally. So I'm not going to get into it because we don't have that much time, but just know there is also studies about kids. So now you can get a child on Juice Plus when an adult goes on and they sponsor a child between the ages of 4 and 18, or a full-time college student up to, I think, 24. They can be on it. There's been 1.5 million that have been on it now, even more really, but that have gone through. And what you do is you agree to be on it for a year, and you send in a survey that lets the company know, and that's what's part of the research, is how the child was before they got on Juice Plus, after their first box, and after their second box. And you can be on it for 4 years if you choose. That is just an extraordinary gift. There's a tower garden in keeping with what we believe the mission is, to inspire healthy living across the globe. So here you can grow your own, okay? And I have 2 right now that are going. And if you can grow your own and eat right off of there with no dirt, with no herbicides, no pesticides, that is a gift. This is one of mine from a few years ago. Too tall, I know, but I did grow it and I was impressed myself. All tomatoes in that one. So anyways, here we go to wrap it up. Today's decisions are designing your tomorrow. So these 2 women are about the same age. So who would you rather be? What are you designing? Which life are you designing? Can you be in your early 80s and be like that, or like that? Anything is possible. Chronological age and biological age are not the same thing. And I'm here to tell you that this is my mother, and she is 101 years old and a half. And this picture was taken 3 weeks ago. And so this is what's possible. She's been on Juice Plus now for about 20 years and dutifully takes it every day, like better than anybody, but she's so regular. But this is what's possible. And so I take my genetics, and I go, oh my God, I better take care of myself. So, anyways, health and disease are in a continuum, and we are constantly changing. I mean, we just don't know how we are from one day to the next. You can go to the doctor feeling fine and come back with some diagnosis. Knowledge is power, but only when acted upon. So I think I've taught you a little bit today. You knew most of it, I'm sure. But life is now. It's now. There is no dress rehearsal. So use tonight's information to optimize your well-being. So I hope, and I would assert that I have made a difference here, And Carrie, you want to take it away? I don't
Oh
know how
my
to
gosh. Can you,
unshare.
yeah, you can just at the top just say
Yeah,
step
yeah,
share.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Sharon. Well, that is not the first time I've heard that, but I learn something every single time. And I know you just had a limited amount of time, so you could
Yeah,
only
I
share.
rushed through it, let me tell
I
you.
I know you did. And so I know that normally is like an hour long, and
Yeah,
so we just want to thank you so much for bringing your heart, your knowledge, and your humor, because that helps today in today's world. And I just so appreciate you. So I'm going to stop the recording now so everybody can say goodbye to you. So hold on one second.